We are going to have a quick conversation about Chapter 3, the theory of consumer behavior, and in particular, utility. The concept of utility is just a simple demonstration of the satisfaction that people get from consuming products. If I enjoy eating steak, I will receive some utility from that steak. Now, utility in and of itself is an unusual concept because as we consider utility, it is described in a measurement that is called a util. And a util is a fictitious measurement that is inherently unique to the individual that is deriving satisfaction from consumption. As I ate a steak, I may get 200 utils of satisfaction, and somebody else may get 70 utils of satisfaction. When we consider utility, you and I purchase products that give us satisfaction. And when we have a scarce resources in our money, we typically purchase products that give us the most satisfaction. When we think about the overall utility function, when we had some money, and let's just say for simplicity, there are two commodities, the hamburgers and the pizza. If we had scarce resources in our money, we would utilize that money to buy a certain number of hamburgers and a certain number of pizzas to demonstrate our total utility. So the equation for total utility is simply the quantity of hamburgers multiplied by the quantity of pizza. That would give us a demonstration of what the total utility would be like. So utility is a measure of satisfaction, and the total utility is the maximum amount of satisfaction we get as we go ahead and consume products. This is a demonstration of total utility. When we look at our three bundles, we can see if we had 2.5 hamburgers and 10 units of pizza, that would rank us a total utility of 25. And you can see the same pattern. 3 times 7 is 21, and 4 times 6.25 is 25. So as we take a look at it, in order to determine total utility, one way that we can calculate that is by multiplying the quantity of the objects that are bringing us satisfaction. Now, marginal utility is very, very similar. But before we discuss marginal utility, let's have a quick conversation about the word margin. The word margin suggests to us that we are adding an additional product. When we make any decisions on the margin, we're making these decisions based on a single additional product. So in this example, the utility, we are trying to determine how much additional satisfaction do we get from the consumption of one additional product. And if you care to go ahead and create that in a equation form, that would be the marginal utility of hamburgers. We'll go ahead and just take the change in utility divided by the change in hamburgers, and that will give us that information. And I'll give you an example in a couple of seconds. Now, you have probably figured out that as we do the book reading, we are, in this particular sentence, there are two sentences at the bottom of the page. Let me go ahead and describe those to you. This value will fall as consumption increases. Or that can be read a little bit differently, and this confused me for a little bit of time. This value will rise as consumption decreases. So the book has essentially put two concepts in one sentence, and to understand both concepts well, you have to read the sentence twice, and it took me a while to figure that out. Let's take a look at marginal and total utility. When we look at this graph, the top graph is a total utility curve, and the lower graph is a marginal utility curve. So as we take a look at it, we can begin to derive the information based on the curve. When one hamburger is consumed, we can see that approximately on that first hamburger, there are 20 units of utility and 20 units of total utility. So on consumption of burger number 1, we can see they're pretty similar. When we take a look at burger number 2, and if we went right up this graph, we could see that that's about 10 utility. So if our marginal utility is 10, our total utility is 30. If we looked at the next set, we can go ahead and look up the graph, and the utility of the third hamburger is approximately 8. It may be as high as 9, but I'm going to put down 8. And if that's the case, the total utility is 38. And we can continue to fill out the rest of the table. As I completed the rest of the marginal utility, you can see as more hamburgers are consumed, the satisfaction we get by eating the additional hamburger tends to decrease. So as we eat a hamburger, at hamburger number 6, we receive 6 utils from consumption, or 5.5. Eating 2 more hamburgers at number 8, our satisfaction went down. When we ate 1 more, oh man, we only had 2 units of satisfaction. And at number 10, eating our 10th hamburger, we really didn't enjoy it that much. And you can see as we calculate our total utility curve tends to go up. And as we watch it, it's going up, and it goes up from every unit of consumption. It begins to go up, but you'll notice it goes up a little bit less every single time. As we consume, the total utility consumption goes up slowly. And eventually, we'll note, as we have enjoyed the 11th burger on the margin, we can see that 11th burger, it gives us approximately a -1 utility. We would call that a negative marginal utility because we really aren't enjoying the concept, and what you'll notice happen is your total utility then begins to drop. And if we look at the 12th one, it's kind of even hard to figure out where this line is going. At burger number 12, it's probably at a -6. So if somebody forced us to eat 1 more burger at that number 12, we would still really, really not enjoy it, probably getting sick and nauseous. And you can see, as we continue our consumption, utility goes down. Now, this example is just enabling us to demonstrate what we would call the law of diminishing marginal utility. And what this law suggests is marginal utility decreases as more of a good is consumed over a given time period. So, whenever you start consuming, what we should expect to happen is eventually our consumption will begin to go down. So, it doesn't matter the product, it's the law of diminishing marginal utility. And the law says that if you eat a product, consume any kind of product, eventually your utility derived will go down. I don't care if you love chocolate bars. By the time you've had your 73rd chocolate bar, your utility has gone down. The law of diminishing marginal utility. As we consume a single good over time, the satisfaction we get through multiple consumption goes down.